Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. Oh my God, I am so glad as a football fan I don't have to settle for Carson Wentz Perna. Thoughts and prayers to PFT commenter. Now, NFL news is moving at lightning speed and my voice can barely keep up. Wentz is going to Washington. I already made about 8 videos highlighting Russell Wilson's trade to my Broncos. The Titans extended Harold Landry. The Chargers paid Mike Williams. Jerry Jones has a secret love child. Deshaun Watson may be on the move if his day in court on Friday goes well. And most alarmingly, I'll show you how Richard Sherman took the worst day of his life and used it to cash in with the sponsorship. All of that today on That's Good Sports. Hey, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. It really helps me out when you subscribe, when you thumbs up the video. If you like football news, then this piece of shit channel's for you. That's Good Sports. It's a piece of shit. Subscribe. Also, huge shout out for all of my new Patreon donors. Big dick Patreon shout outs for Dimitri, Athanasio, B, Gilly 84, Salvador, Melendez, Corey, Rudisile, Casey, Castens, upping to $20 a month, The Sad Irishman, Be Happy, You're Irish, and Raphael Herbrick. You can support this channel, patreon.com/thatsgoodsports, or you can join through the YouTube memberships, whatever tickles your fancy. All right, we do have NFL headlines. The New England Patriots are doing, quote, excessive work on landing premier free agent receiver Allen Robinson. If I'm Allen Robinson, I'd be very aware of my actions, because when the Patriots do excessive work, they actually mean secretly recording everything you do. The 49ers fan who was beaten unconscious in the SoFi Stadium parking lot before the Rams 49ers championship game is finally out of a medically induced coma. And once he learned that the 49ers lost that game, he asked doctors to put him back into a coma until next January. A 25-year-old woman is suing Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, alleging that he is her biological father, and after seeing this photo of her, I don't think a DNA test will be needed to rule in her favor. Apparently, though, she's suing Jerry Jones in hopes of using modern DNA testing to prove that he's not her dad, stating, "As a football fan, I don't want to have any relation to a man dumb enough to pay a running back $18 million per year." Say what you want, Cowboys fans are passionate. And I think 2 of the smartest extensions given belong to QB destroyer Harold Landry of the Tennessee Titans, and yes, Chargers receiver Mike Williams. Both players got paid big time and both earned the hell out of that payday. Mike Williams is a beast. And I heard him on the NFL Network talk about wanting to stay with the Chargers, something a lot of guys don't want to do. Even though he probably would have made more money in free agency if he tested the market. Mr. Mike Williams, all I'll say, it's gonna be fun going to battle against you now that my team has Russ Wilson. Good luck. Now, Harold Landry netted a 5-year, $87 million deal after he, Jeffrey Simmons, and Bud Dupree became the primary reason Tennessee clinched the 1 seed in the AFC. Landry had 12 sacks and 70 QB pressures last season, and if Tannehill can get his shit together, I expect Tennessee to win the AFC South by 10 games this season. More than half of Landry's sacks came on 3rd down, by the way, so he is clutch. Now let's talk about Deshaun Watson for a minute, because he may be on the move very soon, depending on what happens Friday when he goes to court. Right now, Watson is facing 22 civil lawsuits and 10 criminal complaints filed with the Houston police. The hearing on Friday could determine whether or not the criminal charges against Watson will stick. If the criminal case moves forward, I highly doubt any NFL team trades for Watson, as he could face charges of indecent assault, assault and harassment, and the big one, second-degree felony of sexual assault, which under Texas law carries a 2 to 20-year prison sentence. Also, if charged on Friday, Watson could land on the NFL commissioner's exempt list, meaning nothing will happen with Watson until all of that is resolved. Right now, the two teams most linked to Deshaun Watson are the Steelers and the Panthers. Sorry, Seahawks fans, you're not getting Deshaun Watson to replace Russell Wilson. Plus, not even the police would handcuff Watson the way Pete Carroll would. In terms of Watson going to Pittsburgh, I have seen very conflicting reports. The Steelers either have no interest in Watson, or if his hearing goes well, i.e. no criminal charges filed, Watson will be a Steeler immediately. Mike Tomlin will reveal himself as the bailiff and personally escort Watson to Pittsburgh. Now, the other reports are that the Panthers are all in on Deshaun Watson, as evidenced by Panthers team owner David Tepper hiring an investigator to thoroughly look into Watson's legal mess. That's the kind of doing your own research I support. And I actually recommend Tepper hire an investigator to determine why the Panthers suck. But that's just me. Again, Watson has a no trade clause, which means he has to approve any destination, but my gut says the only team at this point left that will actually consider Deshaun Watson is the Panthers. Even if Watson is cleared, his reputation is forever tarnished, and you will never have a fan base that will wholeheartedly get behind him. But Watson is a classic case of his talent outweighing the mass of his controversy. So who knows what will happen, but Friday we could get news. Also, please don't forget every Wednesday evening I host a show on the Game Day YouTube channel called Odd Man Sports. It's like this show, but we talk about all sports. This week we made one of the funniest segments to date. I'm gonna play it right now, but please give them a sub and make sure to like the shit out of my show every week over there so they don't cancel me. It was a different Bucs veteran who found his name out there in the news this week.
Former Seahawks All-Pro cornerback Richard Sherman pleaded guilty to multiple charges today. The charges are tied to a situation at his father-in-law's house back in July. Sherman crashed his car into a construction zone before abandoning that car, then continuing on to the home in Redmond. While yelling at people through the locked door, he damaged his in-laws' home.
And you thought you weren't getting along with your in-laws.
Court papers released today say Sherman was combative when arrested Wednesday morning. His attempts to get inside recorded on this doorbell camera.
Busted by the doorbell cam. And credit to the company who makes them for quickly capitalizing on this Richard Sherman news.
For decades, we've looked at home security the same. Set your alarm, leave your home. The Ring video doorbell can prevent a crime before it happens. Ring lets you see and speak with whoever's at your home from anywhere.
Hello? I'm bathing the children right now.
With Ring, you're always home. Available at ring.com.
All right, the big story, the Carson Wentz trade. Last week, ESPN reported that the Washington Commanders were, quote, obsessed with finding a long-term answer at quarterback. And now their obsession is, it's over, I guess. The Commanders have made a trade with the Colts for quarterback Carson Wentz, who spent just 1 year with Indy. Calling Carson Wentz a long-term answer at quarterback is kind of like calling the prostitute you frequent your girlfriend. Now the Commanders get QB Carson Wentz, who reportedly resists hard coaching, which should be a great fit with hard-ass Ron Rivera, and a 2022 47th overall pick, which is a second rounder and a seventh rounder. The Colts get the 42nd overall pick in this draft, a second rounder, a third round pick this year, and a third round conditional pick in 2023. Here's what I find fascinating about Carson Wentz. he may have tied Ricky Williams for the record of netting NFL teams more draft picks than any other player. Remember, Mike Ditka and the Saints traded 9 picks to move up and draft Ricky Williams. 9 draft picks. Then the Dolphins exchanged like 4 picks for Williams or something later. The Eagles traded up to draft Carson Wentz at the number 2 spot with the Browns. Philly gave away 4 picks there. Then Philly traded Wentz to Indy, ended up receiving a first rounder that they will use in this draft, plus other picks. And now the Commanders and Colts bring the Wentz tally to lucky 13. Yes, Carson Wentz has netted 13 draft picks for a guy who had 3/4 of an MVP season and played slightly above average at best outside of that. I confirm, the NFL is dumb. Carson Wentz is so underwhelming, he made Colts GM Chris Ballard look bad. So, Washington finds an answer at quarterback, although probably not the answer. I don't think this rules them out, though, of drafting a quarterback, but it does give them a Week 1 starter at the very least. Not to mention, this trade is probably very appealing to Carson Wentz, who gets to face his old team, the Philadelphia Eagles, twice a season. For Wentz, things ended bitterly in Philadelphia, and it kind of looks like they ended bitterly in Indy as well, especially as soon as he threw them out of that win-and-in Jaguars game Week 18. Hey, let's give up draft capital for the guy who can't beat the fucking Jags. Signed, the Commanders. Wentz definitely made strides, though, from 2020 to 2021 after changing teams. Basically, he went from one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL to a guy that had 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions last year, although those stats do not tell the whole story of his season. I think the Colts understood that despite the low turnover numbers compared to prior years, Wentz was putting the ball in harm's way routinely and getting pretty lucky. There are also reports that Carson Wentz isn't a great teammate, and it explains why he's been traded twice now in the last calendar year. Just recently, Jeff McClain from the Philadelphia Inquirer reported that after he was injured, Carson Wentz voiced his displeasure with the Eagles' success during their Super Bowl run in 2017. There have been plenty of reports that he didn't get along with Doug Peterson and was unhappy when the team drafted Jalen Hurts, and then even unhappier when he was benched for Jalen Hurts. That one I understand. Throw in the COVID thing last year and the injuries, and that his biggest supporter and head coach Frank Reich apologized to Jim Irsay after the season for being wrong about Wentz, and it's not all that surprising that he's on to his 3rd team. I also refuse to acknowledge the 2017 season as a reason for optimism. Sorry, Washington. He was great that year, no doubt about it. And he should have been MVP before, he tore his ACL. But that was 5 years ago, and that Carson Wentz is gone. In terms of his career as a whole, it's an outlier. I understand if Washington fans want to cling to it so they can also cling to sanity, but it's like clinging to the idea that Dan Snyder will one day be the world's leading feminist in the women's movement. From the Colts' perspective, I think this makes them a lock to draft a quarterback in the 2nd round. Unless, of course, the rumors that they're interested in Jimmy Garoppolo are true. Then they may have to forfeit some of the draft capital that they would use to grab a QB this year. But if you're a team interested in Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know why you would make a move for him prior to the NFL draft. He just had shoulder surgery. Nobody's in a rush to grab Jimmy G, so why don't you see who you can get in the draft first, and then if you don't get a quarterback, make a play for a guy like Garoppolo. And I think the Colts would be smarter to draft a QB. Remember, because they did trade for Wentz a year ago, they don't have a 1st round draft pick. Congrats, Eagles. But there will still be a quarterback where they are picking in the 2nd, and they have the ammo to get back into the 1st round if they want. I would look for them taking someone like Sam Howell or Carson Strong as their quarterback of the future. Boom, and that's it for That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube and check out another video. It's on the screen right now. All you gotta do is click that stupid shit video. But if you wanna follow me on Twitter or Instagram, I'm at Brandon Perna. My name. Imagine that.